Hello everyone, welcome to day 30 of the Assembly 8 Code Challenge, and I hope all of you are having a great time. Without much ado, let's quickly walk through today's question. Today's question is smallest integer divisible by k. Here in this question we are given a positive integer k. We need to identify the length of the smallest positive integer n such that n is divisible by k, n only contains the digit 1, n may not fit in 64-bit signed int category. If there is no such number, we need to return -1 in this case. Also, the return type is not the number itself, but the number of digits in that number, that is the length of n. Now let's quickly move on to the presentation where I'll be talking about these examples and how to go about the approach. So let me just start the slideshow that I have created for this. Let me just take a pen and let's take red color. Smallest integer divisible by k, LeetCode 1015. It's a medium level question on LeetCode, and I totally feel the same. There's a small trick that you need to know in order to solve this question, which is quite intuitive as well, but it requires some mathematical computation. So let's get started. Let's try to extract the maximum out of the problem. We are given an integer k. We need to identify the length of n, and to what all rules n should abide to. N modulus k should be equal to 0. Length of n should be minimum. N only contains the digit 1. N may not fit into 64-bit sign-in category. This is the most important constraint which will hinder us from submitting the solution to 100% acceptance. Why? Because had this constraint not been there, you could have generated a number starting from 1, then double 1, then triple 1, then 4 times 1, and so on, till the time you don't find n divisible by k. So this would have been pretty simple and straightforward, but this is not the question. Let's walk through few possible test cases and let's try to identify whether there is a pattern in the remainder or not. So let's take the value of k as 3. That means what all remainders can be generated? Either it can be 0, it can be 1, or it can be 2. Let's take the value of n as 1. When value of n is 1, n modulus 3 is 1. When we take the value of n as 11, the modulus turns out to be equal to, the remainder turns out to be equal to 2. When we take n as 111, the remainder turns out to be equal to 0. Let's proceed ahead. Next we have 4 times 1. Then the remainder comes out to be 1. When we have 5 times 1, the remainder turns out to be 2. When we have 6 times 1, the remainder turns out to be 0. So as we can clearly see, there is a pattern that is being followed as we progress along this series. Let's take another example. Let's take the value of k as 6. So what all remainders can be generated when we perform n modulus k operation? It could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Let's start with the value of 1, n as 1. So n modulus k gives us 1. Let's take value of n as 11. 11 modulus 6 gives us 5. 111 modulus 6 gives us 3. 4 times 1 modulus 6 gives us 1. 5 times 1 modulus 6 gives us 5. 6 times 1 modulus 6 gives us 3. And as we can clearly see, there is a pattern that is being repeated across as we progress through the series. Also, let's talk about few corner cases. So let's take the value of k as 2. So 2 being even in nature, will there ever be case that n modulus 2 would ever be equal to 0? No, because n will always be an odd number and 2 is an even number. So there is no possibility that you'll ever get an answer except -1. Similar is the case with when k is equal to 5. So when we have k equals to 5, then there is no possibility of n that will lead to a 0 remainder, because in the end we will always have a 1, as a result of which the only possible answer could be -1 in all such cases. Now let's formalize the approach using the test cases that we just talked about. Let's hypothetically assume that you have a particular value of n, and let's take the case that right now the value of n turns out to be equal to 11. You want to generate the next possible value of n. What do? You multiply it with 10 and add 1 to it. So what do you get? You get 111. When you have 111, you want to generate the next possible value of n. What do? You multiply it with 10 and add 1 to it. So the next number turns out to be equal to 4 times 1. And can we generalize this? The answer is yes. So if you are at a particular value of n, you want to generate the next value of n, what do? You multiply it with 10 and add 1 to it. So as per a general formula, next n is equal to n into 10 plus 1. And let's hypothetically assume that the remainder for the previous value of n is stored in a variable named remainder equals to n modulus k. We are interested in generating the next possible value of remainder for n next, and let's see how can we mathematically formalize it. So n next modulus k turns out to be equal to n into 10 plus 1. We have replaced n next using the formula that we just derived here. So what do we get? We get n into 10 plus 1 modulus k. Let's split the modulus operation across this plus sign, and what do we get? N into 10 modulus k plus 1 modulus k modulus k. So this is the formula that I have used here to split it across the plus sign. Going forward, what do we get? We get n into 10 modulus k plus 1. Why plus 1? Because 1 modulus k always leads to 1. It can never be anything other than 1. And the modulus k remains as it is. So in general, what we can formalize, we can say that next remainder is equal to remainder into 10 plus 1 modulus k. How? We have replaced n modulus k by the variable that was stored here as remainder. Now let's quickly walk through the coding section where I'll tell you how to use this formula to come up with the approach. Here I have written few corner cases. If k modulus 2 turns out to be equal to 0 or k modulus 5 turns out to be equal to 0, for those cases where k is divisible by 2 or k is divisible by 5, we have to return -1. We talked about these in presentation. Let's go ahead and create a remainder variable, and let's start the loop. The remainder is initialized to 0, the counter is initialized to 1. It will go up till the value of k is less than equal to k, and we increment the counter with each iteration. We update the remainder using the formula that I just showed in the presentation. The next remainder is equal to remainder into 10 plus 1 modulus k. And in case my remainder turns out to be equal to 0, that means I have identified the desired length of n, and I simply return the counter variable. So once I'm out of this loop, that means there was no such possible number n that could have been generated that was divisible by k. In all such cases, I simply return -1. So let's try this up. The time complexity of this approach is order of k, and space complexity of this approach is order of 1. We are not using any extra space. This brings me to the end of today's session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for viewing it. Have a great day ahead and stay tuned for more updates on Coding Decoded. I'll see you tomorrow with another fresh question, but till then, goodbye.